One of the best Spider-Man games of the 16-bit era is Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage. Released in 1994, this game was inspired by the comic book story arc of the same name that came out the year prior. It was also the basis for the miniseries Carnage Unleashed in 1995, so there was a comic inspired by a game that was based on another comic. That's insane. Anyways, Maximum Carnage is a single-player beat-em-up that has you play as either Spider-Man or Venom. You can switch between them at certain points throughout the story. Both characters can punch enemies, grab them, pick them up overhead and throw them, perform charging moves like a shoulder block or double elbow, web them up to temporarily freeze them in place, even pull them towards you or into each other if you aim it accurately enough. If you land enough strikes and your health meter begins flashing, you can also activate a power hit to unleash an even stronger attack on enemies. Throughout the stages, if you locate specific character icons, you can also summon other Marvel heroes to aid you in battle, like Black Cat, Captain America, Cloak and Dagger, and even Iron Fist. Most of them just damage all of the enemies on screen, but some of them, like Iron Fist for example, will replenish your health with his chi. Like I had just mentioned, and like its name suggests, this game is loosely based on the 1993 story arc Maximum Carnage. Much like the comic, it features Spider-Man and Venom forming an uneasy alliance with each other in order to stop Venom's murderous offspring, Carnage. Cletus Cassidy had been imprisoned at the Ravencroft Institute for the criminally insane, but managed to escape with the help of his alien symbiote, which had mutated his blood. He recruits another inmate during his escape, named Shriek, along with a slew of other vile individuals, Doppelganger, Demogoblin, and Carrion, to hunt down and kill both Spider-Man and Venom, as well as take over New York City, blazing a trail of mayhem and murder along the way. Throughout the story, Spider-Man allies with other notable Marvel heroes like Captain America, Cloak and Dagger, Black Cat, and Firestar, even a few villains like Morbius the Living Vampire, and of course, Venom. The game has an epic crossover feel to it, which is one of its coolest aspects. I also love how the title heroes play off each other, facing several challenges, working together as a team, mainly dealing with the violent tendencies of Eddie Brock, Venom. Close to the end of the story, Venom urges Firestar to finish off Carnage, but she hesitates, refusing to take a human life. In retaliation for letting Carnage escape, Venom attempts to kill Firestar, but Spider-Man thankfully intervenes, and the two butt heads, severing their partnership. Most of the stages found within Maximum Carnage are nothing to sneeze at. City streets, rooftops, alleyways, the typical stuff you would expect from this kind of game. But there are a few standouts like the flashy nightclub called The Deep, where a lot of the city's criminals hang out. Another memorable stage is the one that takes place within the Baxter Building, that has Spider-Man and Venom face off with the Fantastic Four's security systems in order to steal Reed Richards' sonic gun to use against Carnage. I think my least favorite sequence in this game is the one near the beginning, where you have to climb up the side of that building and avoid energy blasts being fired at you by Shriek from the rooftop. It can be incredibly frustrating to time your movements and dodge her attacks, as well as swing through the gaps between the buildings so you can climb higher. If you get hit, you can sometimes fall all the way back down to the ground and have to start all over again. It sucks. At a certain point, Doppelganger will pop out to attack you as well, which is very distracting. So is that stupid red arrow that keeps flashing on the screen. I get that it's warning me when Shriek is going to fire, but I can never tell if it's pointing to where I need to go or where Shriek's blast is going to be, because it seems like she homes in on your location regardless. Fighting Carnage is really tough. You battle him 3 times at the end of the game. Once after surviving a massive gauntlet against all of the other villains you had faced up until that point. A second time after the game tricks you, making you think he's defeated only to reveal he's not, with an end credits fake out. And then a final time outside of the ruined boys' home, where Cletus Cassidy grew up, St. Estes. Carnage's attacks, much like Cassidy himself, are very unpredictable. He has a long range, moves really fast, and flails all over the place with his tendrils. Fighting all of the game's villains, one after the other, plus Carnage 3 separate times at the end, is quite exhausting. The only way I was able to reach him was with the help of the Game Genie's Infinite Lives cheat, and I feel no shame in admitting that, because this game is one hard son of a bitch. Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage was the first Spider-Man game to receive a teen rating. Though the violence depicted within it is toned down quite a bit, it doesn't show anything too graphic. A lot of the death caused by the villains is suggested to the player. The overall tone of its story is still much darker than a lot of other Spider-Man games that had come out before it. Maximum Carnage was also one of the first superhero games to be directly based on a specific comic book, and visually, I think it's really faithful to its source material, especially with the impressive cutscenes that feature some panels taken right out of the original story. I think the way this game's narrative is told was very unique for the time. It felt like you were playing through an actual comic book. Maximum Carnage had an extra layer of storytelling to it that a lot of other superhero games were lacking. Though its narrative is solid, I don't think its gameplay holds up as well. Don't get me wrong, it's still a lot of fun to play, but I do prefer some other superhero beat-em-ups over it, like Batman Returns and even Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I find Maximum Carnage drags on in a few areas. The standard enemies get a bit too repetitive, and even the bosses you face, you fight a lot of them like 2, 3, maybe even 4 times before the end of the game, which I think is a bit overkill. There was a sequel to Maximum Carnage released the following year, in 1995, called Separation Anxiety, that I hope to review someday, but I currently don't own it in my collection, and getting a hold of a copy is really expensive. It wasn't as strong as Maximum Carnage was either. It was the inferior game, in my opinion, so I'm not in any rush to get to it anytime soon. This has been NerdGasm. I want to thank you all for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed my review. If you've played Maximum Carnage before, let me know what you thought of the game in the comment section down below. If you'd like to support my channel and its content, think about subscribing and even becoming a producer for my videos over on patreon.com. Thanks again, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care and stay nerdy.